Hey everybody, it's Tom. Today we're going to learn Good Times, Bad Times by Led Zeppelin. We're just going to open the tab and go right through it together. We're using version 2 Guitar Pro from Ultimate Guitar. This is the version that has the solo notated the nicest. There's a problem with the main tab version they show. With the opening lick, it doesn't look right. So, Good Times, Bad Times. Starts out real easy. We got an E power chord. This is where the drummer's doing his business here. Bonham just ripping it. And we're just repeating those shots. When we kick to the actual riff, those shots become the start of the whole riff. The slide away there is a little bit dramatic in the tab. I think it looks like more than it is. The trick there, we do our power chord, move our shape down to 5/7, but when we get to this note here, this 5 comes right after my red bar. Let's move the middle finger at that point to get the 5, or the D note there. This lets us get that quick little phrase that has the 4th fret notes. And you can choose how you want to handle this walk up at the end, because notice it goes from C sharp to D to D sharp to E on the repeat. So the riff is working its way back up to E. This riff persists for some time. Just stays on as the verse, and when we change to the chorus, we just cleanly end the riff and go to something other than the start of the riff again. So, let's say we're coming in from about here. I'm gonna set the count in. So there, it's a lot of chords in a short order. We've got the chorus, we go from being on an E primarily to the chorus being based on the key of D. We've going from A, and then a little quick swoop in to a G with those two picks. There's our A, there's our swoop into G. There's our 2 picks while we're still in G, and then right here, this 11-12, this is the root and major third from a D chord. So we got A, G, D, with a little bit of style on the riffs, but it's still A, G, and D. And this song tends to keep changing keys. We went from being an E to the main riff in the verse, being an A right here, and then right in the same part, we're just going to move that whole thing up from being in the key of D, I guess, to being back in the key of E. And there's our B chord, there's our A chord, and there's our E chord. And the song keeps moving, so we barely get repeats of these ideas before we move along. But let's watch it go here for a second. So, here, we've gone from ending the chorus back in the key of E, and I land on that B chord and just let it sit for a brief moment here while the bass does a fill. Next, we're jumping into yet another new key. We're on F sharp now. And then we've got these cool riffs. These feel like flat fingered riffs to me. I want to do the power chord up here like any power chord. And then we're going to go down here, we're going to grab both the E and the B. And we're going to pull away kind of sloppy. We want to get both of those notes to pull off and then go right back on them. And then we're going to go do the same thing here with my 4th fret on the G and B, or G and D strings, excuse me. And this new riff on F sharp just makes up the second verse. Or I guess they call it a bridge here, but it's where the second verse should be. And after that, we go back to the chorus. We're still in the key of E. And they're doing a little different thing here again. We got the B, but instead of going to an A, they're jumping a string deeper and it becomes an E sus4. And we're just switching that to a regular E. So, we're about to get to the solo there, but first, let's talk about that last chorus. We were in E. To make those chords, best to just do that E sus4, like the pinky ring and middle finger there, so that you can easily swap the pinky out and put the pointer finger in to make a regular E chord. B, E sus, E, B, E sus, E, and then it changes key yet again. We're gonna go, now we're in the key of F sharp again. And they run up high for the F sharp. And instead of continuing this idea as with the first chorus, we're all of a sudden getting to the end, we have to do some shots on the 5 chord. And we see there they hit it on the 1, rest, rest, 4, and then we kick into the solo. So the guitar solo with this song, we're going to take a slow down approach to this. We've got a lot to unpack here, and we're going lick by lick. So as always, I'm going to refer you to listen to the real recording to hear how this whole thing sounds, but for obvious copyright reasons, I'm not going to be playing the recorded track here on my channel. What we've got here in our first bar, I've got us down to about 32% speed. This is about 1/3 of the natural speed of the song. Slowing stuff down, I find the ratio works best if you are slowing down on something on the scale of by 1/3 or by 2/3, or slow it down by half, something that's mathematically pleasing, rather than just saying, oh, we're going to slow it down to exactly 20%. Like we want the ratio in there to be something that feels like good timing. And that's how tempo changes work in real pieces too. It's going to double time, or if there's a straight tempo change, it's somewhere around 1/3 or 2/3 difference in tempo. Here's our first bar. Oh yeah, and the long count in. So at the last bar of that, we've got a really quick phrase crammed in here. You can see that in the rhythm there's 30-second notes. The main thing here is we want this bend, and these 3 notes after it should feel like a really fast 1-E and so our bend, there it is. Our bend sort of traces into our pull-off. I would even venture so far as to say we have to pull that off in one gesture, because it's going to be very fast by the time we're playing it at full speed. So before that, we have a pretty straightforward move. This is the classic start of the guitar solo move. The So we're basically doing like a Chuck Berry kind of thing there. We're just bending the G with our middle two fingers. Middle finger there is as support. The ring finger is the one doing the note. I've got my pointer finger flat on the two high strings so I can hold 12s down all together. And rather than try to hold this bend up and sustain it, I'm just going to get out of there to do my next notes. A good trick to make that work: push your bend up and have the tip of your next finger kind of conspicuously over the string, like almost to where I'm touching the G already. This way, when I let it go, my string doesn't make a big blanging noise when I'm done my bend, and I can execute that move nice and clean. So we're gonna have to use that a lot in this solo. Let's put this on repeat on 30% and we'll start moving along. So, not bad. If we know our blues positioning there, this is a pretty standard lick. Let's bring it up a little faster. We'll try about 50%. Ooh, that was rough. Let's try that one more time. Let's bring it back down. See, sometimes we get too far ahead of ourselves. We want to train the move to be just right. Ah, look at that. Maybe we'll edit that out. Back to 50% here. Okay, so we got 50% there. We're gonna go up to, let's try 2/3, about 63, 64%. Not bad. I think I need to turn the drums up here just a little bit. Maybe even turn the track up just a little bit. Okay. Let's try about 85%. Ooh, tricky. Ooh, almost got it. Starting to get there. That's going to be hard to do at full speed. Let's go back down to slower speed and take a look at the wider solo, see what else we have. This first bar is exemplary of the technique. Let's see where else we need to go. move the screen there. Let's pause it right there for now. So, looking into the next bar, after we've done that first move, we've got this move here that ends in kind of a held bend while we're hitting another note in the ring out. And then this open at the end, to me, it feels like an artifact of just letting go of the string while he's about to move over to a new position and play a great big bend next. It doesn't seem like it's melodic so much as it's just, we were on the G, we let the string go for a second and it got caught in the recording. Our next bar, we go up to the 17th fret and we've got to do one of those giant Jimmy Page bends. We got to go up 4 semitones, and then we just have a little riffing on the same string after that, followed by another bend-based phrase. We kind of have these 2 bars that function as one phrase. Let's take a look at that again. So there, we've got a little triplet feel thing going on in here. Let's take a moment to get that move. Oh, there it is. It's on the triplet. Try that again. There we go. All right, now we've got the feel for that phrase. Let's continue on to the next phrase. Here, we have a classic guitar solo playing device. We're going to be going basically up the pentatonic minor scale, not starting from its lowest point, but as we go, we're going to be doing a bit of a forward-backward step thing. We keep staggering our notes back and forth rather than ascending the scale directly. Let's put that on the loop for a second. There we go. So we can see it's all triplet feel or tuplet feel all the way up. Let's try that one a little bit faster, maybe at 2/3. Now, you guys don't have to jump in speed as fast as I am. You can go at the pace that you're comfortable at. You want to get to where you're playing the solo, where you're not panicking or frantically reading the notes or frantically thinking of the next thing as you play the solo and read it. So whatever speed that is for you, that's where you want to start. Not bad, not bad. So that's a really classic move, just creates a little bit of intensity, and in this solo, when Page gets to the end of it, we've got a little move here, and this one, very, very tempting to just park the ring finger here, our strong bending finger, and start working, but notice what the rest of the bar is. We're all over here at the 17th fret. So being that we're coming from this riff where it behooves us to be on this 12th position, we should probably hit this note with the ring finger like normal, and then go vibrato that next note with the pointer finger to go do what comes next. Speaking of which, let's see what comes next, because it's a lot of little wiggly bends. And again, listening to the real performance by Led Zeppelin to this is going to be essential if you want to nail the feel of the solo, but we're just looking at the nuts and bolts here, the tab, what to do with your hand, and how to read it. So we're basically, I remember from the song, we're basically just wiggling this note around a 1.5 step, a 1 step and a half step bend. Let's bring that back down. I thought it was going to be at 1/3 speed. Oh yeah, that's right. Move up the position. Now, obviously this riff continues and we'll have better context if we add maybe the next bar or so. Let's just see. Actually, let's add the last 3 bars because this is the finale of the solo. So we're basically up here doing some really dramatic sounding bends that are also kind of loose and chaotic sounding at the same time. Here we go. There at the end, an interesting little thing going on with the bends. We're on our E note, and we're bending that 15 to be E again. The whole step up from 15 is 17. But rather than go right back to 17, they're going to grab 17, do that super huge bend, the 4 semitones, double step bend, and then drop it to 15 at the end. There's our phrase. This one feels like it's going to be a little more palatable at medium speed. Nice. We also see, I should point these out, a couple of Jimmy Page notes here. These 16th fret notes, pretty dissonant. And then even bends of the 15th fret at the end to hear that 16th fret sound one more time. And if we isolate just this bar, and we just listen to that phrase alone. Maybe let's even put that guitar on solo for a second. Kind of a strange melody. Those notes feel a little out of key in the context of the whole song, but Jimmy Page is really good at stylistically adding notes that are dissonant sounding, but in a way that's compelling rather than in a way that sounds jarring or unpleasant. Anyways, that is the end of our first solo. The rest of the song, we kind of get back to business. We play that first chorus again, same stuff as we saw before, and then we finally get the return of the main riff, and we're back to more solo licks. And these ones are a little more segmented. If you remember my first video for Whole Lotta Love, we've got some gaps in between here where the riff is just happening and we're just taking a breath as the soloist. But this solo begins with something cool. We're doing the reverse of our move that we saw in the first solo, where we were ascending. Now we're descending. Oop, missed it at the end there. Let's watch that a little more carefully. Tempo's awfully slow. What's happening there? We're just, as I said, descending on the scale, and we're weaving back into the riff. This 10, 11, 12 here, or D sharp E, is similar to the, well, it's not similar, it is the same thing. We're just following the riff at the end of this solo lick, and then in this bar the riff goes on unaccompanied by the solo. We're also leaving room for Robert Plant's vocals to say a thing, and then Jimmy Page's guitar responds to it. Let's watch this again, and we'll keep going this time. And we got one, we're just entirely on one fret. Let's get ready on number 20. Again, this is one of those ones we just want to listen to the Led Zeppelin track and see exactly how the swagger on this move goes. But he's, again, just working this one note. And we're basically picking as we're fiddling in between those spots. It's not a series of exact bends. It's an emoting kind of thing on the guitar. We're getting a vibe, and we're playing some notes that are distressing sounding as we're bending back and forth, but we're not looking to be overly fancy on these bends. We just want to play it with a lot of swagger. And then we land it here at the start of bar 53. Next we got a kind of a weird one here, 19th fret, and we're going to be trying to bend both strings up, way up, and the tab says we're going to get the little one to go 2 whole steps, and the other one's going to go a step and a half. Really, we just want it to sound big and weepy like that. Let's hear this bar. I won't play this time. So we've got this big dramatic sounding. I don't know if I got those 19s very good that time. And again, trying to just land this E note here at the end of the phrase is going to sell whatever eccentricities we had in these bends. If we land this E note here, it's going to sound like it was still doing the right thing. Then we're over to the 15th fret next. Once again, we're just leaving room for the riff and for Robert Plant to say some of his ad-lib vocals at the end. Ready to do a less extreme bend here at the 15th fret. We're just compound bending just the B string. We're leaving the E string stationary, so we're only bending one of those strings, makes it a little less intense. Here we are kind of within like notes of an A chord for the next one. Once again, we've got a lot of fiddly looking bends. let's hear that without me clanking along on it one time. 1 E and a 2 E and a, so it should just be quick picking, but yeah, once again, we've kind of have this sound of the guitar's melody falling down the stairs in this solo. It's a lot of very blustery, very cool sounding playing, but things like that, kind of hard to quantify even in the tab. So let's put it up maybe a little faster and see what that sounds like on the groove. Yeah, it's basically just droopy sounding notes over the whole thing. And then I could not tell you. Oh, I see. It looks like there's a note omitted here. Probably supposed to be another 14. But for some reason the tab player isn't showing it. But there's a blank spot there. So we're just ending on another one of these compound bend. Well, this one's more of a double bend, not a compound bend. Lastly, we're going to repeat our descending lick before the song really starts to fade away. Let's just see what we got here. Didn't see that one coming. But it's essentially the same lick as before. Now we're really fading out. We end, funny enough, on one of those crummy Jimmy Page notes. So that's my talk about good times, bad times. Guys, like, subscribe, share these videos, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies if you want. But the more you guys engage with these videos, the more I can make them and the better they're going to get. So peace out.